These are 3 out of a total of 10 Texas Hots Mom got. Following a surprise birthday party for a family member on Mom's side. A party for his 90th birthday. And it lasted roughly from 3 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. Following the party was when we got the Texas Hots. The surprise birthday party took place within a church's sort of gymnasium room. Church that was in the same general area as the place we went to get the Texas Hots. Both right before and during the party, I made an effort to introduce myself to as many family members as I could, assuming most of the guests were family members on Mom's side, with a few friends of the person whose birthday was being celebrated. And I also made some effort towards making some conversation with family members on Mom's side. And the guests in general, while having 2 helpings of pizza, chips, and dip. Though for the first helping, I made sure to wait until people started lining up to serve themselves. And I waited for the second to make sure everyone had an opportunity to have some. Most of the guests were older, but there were a few younger. From as young as maybe 5 to about my age. It would be towards the younger side. At the surprise birthday party, I saw family members on Mom's side that I don't recall seeing before, such as the man whose birthday was being celebrated today. We made cards that we signed, and gifts were given to him, and a cake was made with blue and white frosting. White frosting with various hues of blue. There were balloons drawn on the cake with frosting and of the cake. I requested a vanilla square. After I had my 2 helpings of pizza, chips, and dip. Of the dip, they were all by the hell of a good brand. And both times I got about 2 spoonfuls of the bodacious onion variety. And on another area of the plate, 2 spoonfuls of, I think it was most likely white cheddar and bacon, something like that. It was good dip to go with the chips. And the chips technically included some thin pretzels. After getting the Texas Hots, and 2 jars of their sauce, since my mom likes eating the sauce plain. We drove roughly from roughly from 6 to 8 p.m. Back home, and then drove to the Dakota for a karaoke night. Though I fell asleep around 7 p.m. in the car, and was woken up around 9:15 p.m. after Mom stopped off at her place to refrigerate the Texas Hots. Then drove to the Dakota, of which during the karaoke night I sang a total of 3 songs, with the second one being That's Amore by Dean Martin, the last one being Still Loving You by the Scorpions, and the first one being Black Sun by Def Cab for Cutie. Right before the karaoke started, I had about half of an order of the Fra Diavolo special, which is essentially a bed of linguine pasta infused with tomatoes and all the good kinds of seafood. Had that with my first alcoholic beverage of the night, the Celtic Russian Martini cocktail specialty cocktail. Afterwards, had a glass of water. In between that specialty cocktail and some of a sort of pineapple-based cocktail Mom got that she shared some with me. After that, I recall mostly having iced water. Though at one point, Mom and I each had a come and screw shot that were put into plastic glasses that you would be more likely to be filled with beer than a shot. And later Mom shared some of a Corona beer with me by pouring it into a glass that previously had some of the previous pineapple-based cocktail in it. And that glass had been left empty prior to it being partially filled with beer. I primarily spent the hours prior to Mom picking me up from Dad's place around noon, working on the Satchel Sort polystyrene ball drawing project, drawing dotted circles, making the circle using an ultrafine Sharpie marker, and then using the fine tip equivalent of that same color hue to make a dot in the middle of the circle. Unless I feel the circle I made is too small for that, in which case I make the dot using the same exact Sharpie marker I used to make the initial circle. Thankfully, that's only been the case for a few of the circles so far. While working on that polystyrene drawing project, I also went through my current rotation of games on Congregate, such as Oceania, at one point reaching this blueberry bush. And roughly from 10:30 in the morning to 11 in the morning, I did some exercise. This being after having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich I made myself with my first cup of plain coffee around 6:15 in the morning. And then around 9:15 in the morning, I had the leftover steak from last night and some celery with another cup of plain coffee. I recall having 3 to 4 cups of plain coffee from 6:15 in the morning to about 9:30 in the morning. And that was before I had some coffee that my mom offered with my first helping of pizza, chips, and dip at that surprise birthday party.